This is an open pit mine in the west. It's big. Thousands of tons of ore are mined, loaded, hauled, processed, and hauled again daily. It takes a lot of equipment to do this. Big equipment and hardy men and women to operate it. It's vast, productive, and can be dangerous. The doctor and the ambulance have been called for Bill Johnson, a front-end loader operator.
He looks like he's hurt bad. God, I think he's dead.
The people gathered around him are his co-workers.
Do you think he'll make
They, too, are
it,
heavy
Doc?
equipment operators.
He looks like he's hurt pretty bad.
He was so young, too.
Brakes probably went out on that thing.
You'd have to wait. I didn't have to see it. He's dead.
Their concern right now is for their friend who has been fatally injured.
He's got kids at home, too.
The concern of others who will soon be involved is the accident itself and the events leading to it. If the factors contributing to the accident can be determined, steps may be taken to see that the same kind of accident never happens again. Some accidents, such as this turned-over front-end loader, involve fatalities, and some disabling injuries. In almost all cases, however, the cause of the accident is not the cause of the injury. In any case, company officials should be notified and an accident investigation begun as soon as possible.
Five 474.
205.
Yeah, Don. Doctor has pronounced the victim dead at the scene.
We're on our way. I'm about 20 seconds away from your location. I've notified the fire engine crew.
All right, 474 out.
Nothing more can be done for the fatally injured man, and he can do nothing to explain what happened. It's obvious that the front-end loader turned over, but there are a lot of questions to be answered. The first company official to arrive on the scene begins to gather information. Who witnessed the accident? What happened? How did it happen? Why did it happen? Necessary safety measures are taken. A fire truck has been sent due to the possibility of fire or explosion from spilled fuel. Every possible precaution should be taken for the safety and protection of everyone conducting the investigation. Clues such as tire tracks, which may be valuable in determining the causes of the accident, are protected by dangering off the area, and the accident investigation is set into motion.
Then these guys, I saw these guys and I yelled for some help and they called safety.
None of you actually saw the accident?
No, we were just coming back from the dump.
Let's see. Okay. I think we better get this whole area sectioned off. Don't any of you touch anything, please. We'll get these plastic pylons and cover this whole perimeter. Pete? I'm at the accident site. The ambulance is on the way to town. I've released the fire truck. There's no possibility of any safety hazards up here at this time.
We should start an investigation right away. I'll have Hal call Mesa, and we'll get the investigating team together and meet you at the site.
Company officials shall notify Mesa immediately upon learning of a fatal accident or one causing serious injury.
Hal, this is Pete. I've just talked to Don. Bill Johnson was fatally injured in the field. Will you please call Mesa, and I'll meet you at the site.
Metal and non-metal health and safety, Vern Gomez speaking.
Hello, Vern. This is Hal Adams. We've just had an accident. Only one person involved. The front end loader overturned and injured the operator fatally.
When did this happen, Hal?
About 20 minutes ago.
Hal, you go ahead and start your investigation, and we'll be out there as soon as possible. We'll be seeing you.
Plans for handling an accident investigation should be developed prior to an emergency. Those assigned should be capable of going into action immediately upon being notified. They should be representative of a broad cross-section of all interest involved and should be trained in investigative techniques. Making up the team for this investigation will be the safety director,
This piece of equipment was traveling down the haul road.
a union safety committee
The bank
man,
had been washed out. For some reason or other, we don't know, the operator lost
The
control
pit
of
foreman.
the equipment. He rolled it down over the embankment. He was thrown out.
and the mine
crushed.
superintendent.
The doctor has been here.
As soon as possible,
pronounced
the
him dead.
entire investigating team should interview eyewitnesses at the accident site. Interviews should be conducted while memories are fresh, and they should be conducted separately. In that way, the testimony of one witness cannot influence the testimony of another. The observations of witnesses often give new inputs that must be digested, sorted, and logically evaluated by all members of the investigation team.
What did you do there?
A good interviewer never puts words in the witness's mouth, but allows a witness to tell the story without interruptions.
The doctor was there.
What did you see, Tom?
Well, we were coming down the haul road. He was about 50 or 60 yards in front of me, and he started picking up speed. And I don't know whether he hit an object in the road, but it seemed like the front end of the loader bounced, and I thought he was going to be able to hold it all right. He went down a few more yards and just went over the edge.
Tom, at the beginning of the shift, had you and Kelly both traveled this particular ramp to get to the 42 dump?
Yes?
Did you notice anything out of order while you traveled up this ramp?
Well, it was pretty rough. We'd had that rain, and there were some pretty good ridges in the road.
Did he ever complain to you during the shift before you came back down that his machine was faulty?
I didn't get any indication from him that he was having any problems at all, Pete, with the equipment.
Tom, do you think he was going very fast, going down the hill? Was he pulling away from you as you were both
Yes,
going
Bill,
down?
he was. He was pulling away from him.
Do you think it was intentional, or you just think he was losing control?
I don't have any idea. I think he must have been losing control from what happened.
Yeah, do you think he jumped, or do you think he was thrown? Do you think he might have tried to jump out?
He didn't have his seatbelts on. He was thrown.
Are you sure he didn't have his seatbelts on?
It doesn't look to me like he did, because when I came up, he had been thrown out of the cab of the loader, and the belts were intact, and they were just dangling loose. And it looked to me like he just didn't even have them on.
When interviewing a witness, make it clear at the outset your purpose in asking questions is fact-finding and not to fix blame. Put the witness at ease. Phrase questions and statements simply. Never give the witness the third degree. The investigation is primarily for getting the facts that will keep the same thing from happening again.
Did anybody touch anything on the cab? Tom was the only one here outside of the operator.
It is not unusual to discover the statements of one contradict the statements of another. If the victim is alive, he should be interviewed as soon as first aid treatment or treatment by a doctor permits. Unfortunately, Bill's death made it impossible for investigators to get his first-hand account of what happened. Bill could neither deny nor corroborate the data being gathered. A good interviewer only asks questions to fill in the gaps or to check or clarify his understanding of events, to discover evidence that may have some bearing on the cause of the accident. An important point to remember in any investigation is don't jump to conclusions. Just gather as much data as you possibly can.
Let's get on with the investigation.
As they conduct their search for facts, the investigation team will unearth sufficient information to enable them not only to pinpoint the cause, but also to prepare constructive recommendations to prevent similar accidents from happening again. The procedures and techniques used to investigate an accident in the mining industry are basically the same whether the accident occurs on the surface or underground. However, because Bill Johnson's accident was fatal, the procedure and people involved in this investigation may differ slightly from those for a non-fatal accident. Nevertheless, the objective will be the same: the search for facts to determine the real cause of the accident. Properly conducted, an accident investigation is the best way for a company to establish the causes, both direct and indirect, that produced the accident. It is one of the most effective tools available to prevent similar accidents from happening again.
It's in second. Yeah, the gear shifts in second and going down that grade. He should have been down into low, in the first gear, actually.
Both individually and collectively, the team systematically investigates and observes all conditions that might have some bearing on the accident. No fact, regardless of how small it appears, will be overlooked, although many will be discarded eventually as having no bearing on the cause of the accident. Many seemingly insignificant facts will help determine the cause.
This bucket looks like it's about the seatbelt. It's tucked in here behind the seat. It doesn't look like it's ever been used this afternoon. And the other seat belt is hanging down here. And also the lever for the bucket is in the hold position, would allow it, just like as it was in float, it wouldn't hold. These lines are all intact here. No major problems here.
From the evidence this investigation team uncovers, the real factors that caused Bill Johnson's fatal accident will be determined. Nothing is overlooked, nothing taken for granted. Every bit of data obtained is carefully recorded. The measurement of grade, the absence of berm in the area of the accident, size of potholes and debris on the haul road. The obvious clues, even things that seem irrelevant, are noted, written down, rather than left to memory. Notes are taken by everyone. The Mesa team should be brought up to date as soon as possible after their arrival. Usually, a two-man Mesa team will be assigned, and additional support is available if needed. Where state laws require it, state investigators must be notified.
My pleasure. Wish it had been under more pleasant circumstances.
If they so desire, they can work concurrently with the company's team, or they can work independently until all the facts are gathered. The investigation reveals the road was not adequately maintained or properly graded. A pile of material, large enough to deflect the front-end loader, is found on the haulage road near the accident site, and tracks indicate that the loader had run over this pile.
I found this bottle of pills buried in
It is decided that the pills found at the site of the accident would be analyzed, and the findings would be presented at a later meeting along with the rest of the data. Photographs are taken of everything. Pictures will help refresh memories and assist team members later in the preparation of the final accident report. Once the technical investigation at the site is completed, team members are assigned other specific areas of responsibility. In addition to eyewitnesses, people with knowledge of conditions prior to the accident should be interviewed.
Good morning, George. How are you this morning?
Thanks.
You know Don here?
George Hart.
He has a couple of questions I'd like to ask you about Bill Johnson, the accident, yeah?
George, I understand that you knew Bill Johnson pretty well. Is that right?
Yes, I did.
Do you know of any problems that he's been having?
No, but recently he complained about the rain balling his sinus condition.
I see.
I reported the road conditions bad and was told the grader was in the shop.
Where'd you report that to, Keith?
To my foreman.
Workers on the previous shift may be able to add something.
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
Specialists are called in if necessary. In this case, surveyors were brought in to accurately measure the slope of the berm and the grade of the road.
47.8. 47.8.
The safety director may be able to add some information.
Did you see Johnson at any of the safety meetings?
A few. He missed one, however. It was during the training period, and ironically, it was concerning rollover. Bill has only had 1 week's experience as an operator. Prior to that, he was a maintenance worker.
A check made of the repair shop's records reveals the front-end loader had been brought in for brake repair.
Yeah, Bill. Machine was brought in the 10th, had a complete brake job, another mechanical repair.
Oh, okay, Jan, thank you.
During the investigation, members of the team are assigned to check contact and entry reports to see if there have been similar accidents before. Such information is usually on file in the safety department or personnel office. Other pertinent data relating to the accident is checked. The status of mechanical equipment, the workers' performance records. Company records disclose some interesting bits of information that reinforce data collected from witnesses during interviews.
Gentlemen, we're here this morning to gather the facts and talk...
When all the facts have been gathered, the investigation team should meet as soon as possible to evaluate the data collected. Everything gleaned from the investigation, interviews, contact or entry records, shop records, and work reports are carefully analyzed by the accident investigation team. The detailed sketch to be included in the final report is checked for accuracy.
Put that on your diagram there so we know what we're talking about here. We've taken pictures of the...
Photographs taken are reviewed and used as reference in discussing the various factors that could or could not have contributed to the accident.
You had made an observation while you were up there. You just started to say something about that. What was that?
One by one, each member of the team reports on his area of responsibility. Every clue, every shred of evidence that might have even the slightest bearing on the case is reviewed, evaluated, accepted, or discarded as irrelevant.
Okay, fellas, let's each of us report our findings, and we can all fill in the blank spots. I'll start it off and let you know what I found out. I learned that the road grader was in the shop and wasn't available, and it wouldn't be available for a couple of days. Bill, would you have anything you'd like to add to that?
No, but I checked with the shop foreman and the master mechanic. The brakes on the loader were repaired, but the machine was never road tested.
The reason the berm was inadequate up there was due to the heavy rain, and it kept washing out that section of the road.
Hal, did you check with the foreman to see why it had taken so long to get around to replacing that berm?
Yes, but since it had only washed away last evening, he hadn't gotten around to replacing it. With the grader down and no other front-end loader operator available, Bill was on his way to replace the berm when the accident happened.
I have a lab report here, and the lab tests showed that the pills we found were a type of decongestant, and the check with Bill's doctor confirmed that he had prescribed them to dry up his sinuses, and there would be no side effects such as drowsiness.
I interviewed 2 witnesses, and both of them stated that Bill was not using his seatbelts.
After all the findings of the investigation have been presented by the various members, and all the facts concerning the accident have been evaluated, the team will meet again to reach conclusions and to prepare their final report.
All available information has been collected, so let's assemble it and see what we have here and see if we can't reach a decision as to how this accident happened. Findings indicate that this accident was caused by faulty brakes, road conditions, and Bill's lack of training and experience. The contributing factors were the lack of berms and Bill's failure to wear his seatbelt. Failure to wear that seatbelt probably cost Bill his life.
It seems clear safety procedures had not been carried out. The rain, the grader being down, is no excuse for us not having the proper safeguards in force.
The intent of this investigation has been accomplished. We've determined the causes and the factors which resulted in this accident. We will make specific recommendations to prevent similar accidents in the future.
The conclusion reached was that Bill's accident and death were caused by a series of factors. The final report for this and any accident should include a description of the accident, a list of the factors that caused the accident, and specific recommendations to see that the factors that caused the accident never recur. The data contained in the team's final report is used in filling out all required accident report forms, such as the injury and illness report, the employer's quarterly data report, and Mesa's fatal accident report. This information may help prevent others from making the same mistake. It may prevent the same factors from ever combining to cause a similar accident in the future. The recommendations were implemented immediately. New drivers were given more comprehensive on-the-job training. Older drivers were given refresher training to keep them constantly aware of the relationship between good driver practices and increased safety.
Now, I'd like to tell you something about seat belts.
The importance of seat belts to hold drivers in place in case equipment turns over was stressed. The notion that rollover protection alone, without the use of seat belts, could protect the driver was debunked.
One of these might turn over, even though you have roll cage protection, that you won't be flying all over the place and possibly run over by your own machine.
Made immediately effective was a rule stating that no equipment could be released from the shop unless repaired, inspected, and road tested by shop personnel. All roads had to be properly graded. Adequate berm or guardrails were to be provided and maintained on all elevated haulage roads. And debris removed at all times, regardless of weather conditions. And speed limits set on grades. Drivers on medication were required to advise their supervisors before accepting an assignment to drive mine equipment. Follow-up inspections were recommended, requiring the company safety committee to make periodic inspections of all equipment. The data contained in the final report is entered on tabulating cards for use nationwide and industry-wide for accident data analysis. The recommendations made on Bill Johnson's accident report were made available to help other safety departments upgrade their safety procedures and equipment. They will be used by other mining companies, union and state agencies, and Mesa district offices. Aside from the immediate corrective actions that result from a properly conducted accident investigation, there is the cumulative value of the information gathered. The information from this accident, along with information from a number of other accidents, calls attention to problem areas which ordinarily might not be spotted. If there is a lesson to be learned from tragedy, it is for all of us to realize that everything possible must be done to see that the factors that caused the accident never happen again. And one of the most important tools available to us to prevent tragedy is a thorough accident investigation, the never-ending search for facts.